from the KANU officials. If you're not cleared, you are not allowed to run. So that is where Mama na Baba came from. Mtukufu Rais. So people now started praising the president. You go to a rally, you hear, Mtukufu Rais, juu zaidi. That was the order of the day. Until now, we decided to move again to form a pressure group called Ford. And we said we were going to, before we formed Ford, we had said that we were going to have, because they said that Kenya was not ready for multipartism. Multipartism will breed ethnicity. So we need a strong national party, KANU. So we said that, we want, Kenya is ready for multipartism. And if you are doubting it, we want to go to Kamkunji and ask the people of Kenya if they are ready for multipartism. Kenneth Matiba and Charles Rubia made the statement, and I joined them. And we decided that we are going to have a rally at Kamkunji on the 7th of July, 1990. 1390, 7th of July, that's what became known as Saba Saba, 1990. So we were mobilizing. Matiba was mobilizing matatus to get people to come to Kamkunji. I was mobilizing through the Gor Mahia group and Blue Union to get people to come to Kamkunji. On the 2nd of July, Matiba and Rubia were arrested. On the 4th of July, yours truly was arrested. And they were taken to detention. But when Wananchi turned up at Kamkunji and fought the police, and many people were shot and killed at that time. Over 50 people were shot and killed that time. You are fortunate to have also witnessed a similar killing recently. But you need to know that it happened in 1990, in July. But the Kenyan spirit did not die. Matiba went there, got a stroke, came out limping, was flown to London, but his life was completely undermined. Charles Obia came out there, he nearly lost his throat. He had gone surgery in detention. I am the one who came out strong. So we moved on. Later on, we formed a pressure group called FORD, Forum for Restoration of Democracy in Kenya. Now we are now the Young Turks. Now we have been joined by the group I mentioned to you. And we fought as the Young Turks until eventually when we brought in the older generation, Jaramogi, Shikuku, Muliro, Ndenge, Bamaris, and so on. So we formed FORD. And FORD now fought until eventually they came now the Kamkunji 2, which you now will be seeing pictures on the top of the trucks. That is not in Saba Saba. That was now 1991. But Saba Saba was that was October 1991. But Saba Saba was in July 1990. But by 1991, I had been whisked out of the country because they were looking for me again to pick me up for the 4th time. And I escaped town and ended up in Norway in exile. I'm just giving you this story to give a summary of how the struggle was. Then we now eventually managed to get them to allow multi-party. And we formed Ford. Of course, eventually Ford split because of ethnic politics, cheap ethnic politics. And we went into elections divided. We split the votes because we have three parties in the opposition. Moi slipped through. With 34% of the votes, he beat us. We got the 66%, but we lost. Then now we moved again and we fought in Parliament. We insisted that reforms must be introduced because we were having multi-party under the old constitution. The structures were all still very single party. One time we staged a protest in Parliament on the budget day. When Moi was there, we stood up, all of us, and we were shouting, "No reforms, no budget. No reforms, no budget." The then Minister for Finance, Mr. Mutusale Mudavadi, could not read the budget properly. In the end, that is what led to what was called the IPPG, Interparliamentary interparliamentary group that came up with minimum amendments to the Constitution. But then eventually it took a longer time until eventually we now came up with a new Constitution. This new Constitution, of course, I moved the motion in Parliament to set up a select committee to spearhead the process of constitution review, which was passed, and I became the chairman of that committee, and we started the process of constitution review, ending up with a new constitution. I'm the one who appointed Yashpal Gai as the chairman of the Constitution Review Commission, and appointed all those commissioners. So then, when we were in Bomas, Kenyans came from all parts of the country to discuss the Kenya we want. And views emerged at Bomas. People came from each and every district. There were 3 representatives. One must be an opposite gender. That's how we structured it. And we spent months at Bomas of Kenya and came up with what considered the will of the people of Kenya. Because first they started by more public education of the people of Kenya. What is a constitution? How does it affect you? How can you benefit from a good constitution? So there are these public forums which were held, chaired by Professor Gai and his team, across the country. It is the one that actually opened up the eyes of the people of Kenya. That's why Kenyans are the most conscious people who understand what a constitution is about. Then, after that, now we came up with the draft. But there are people who were opposing the structures that we are trying to introduce, particularly one, devolution. Devolution was opposed very seriously by the national government here. They don't want to let power go. But this devolution, I came about it when I was a shadow minister for local government. In those days, in Parliament, you are the minister and you are the shadow in the opposition. So the shadow minister of local government. In that capacity, I went around the world. I went to Britain and looked at how their local government was working. England is a unitary system. Wales, they have a Wales Assembly. is a devolved system. Scotland is a federal system. In Japan, they have a devolution system that worked very well. And that's the model that impressed me. And that is what we brought here. And we had 14 regions in the devolved system. But those who are at the center did not like it. They did not like devolution, and also did not like the structure of the executive. That's why after we passed it in Bomas,